Good evening, Professor.
Good evening. So, how are you? Fine?
Yes, we are fine. Thank you. How are you?
Fine. So, you might have received the questions from Venerable Devanand also.
No,
Have
sir.
not?
We didn't receive any questions.
Not yet.
So, can I share some of the questions what it has been given to us?
Yes.
So, we can discuss some of the things. Let me share the question. Then
Yes.
it will be more clear to you. And I had also given you some of the questions, if you remember. Did you make me host, Rahul?
Okay, sorry.
Just
Yes, I made you.
okay. So I have shared the questions.
Yes, we can see the screen.
You can see the screen.
Yes.
So these are the questions you can prepare for that your examination.
Okay.
And we'll discuss. There are 10 headings, and 10 questions will be asked in the examination.
Okay.
And the question pattern I had already given to you, that there will be 8 or 10 questions and you have to answer only 4 or 5.
Okay.
So on the pattern of the University of Buddhist and Pali University, Sri Lanka. So these are the, if you go through the syllabus, and these are some of the topics which have been suggested by our Venerable Devanand. So the first is the culture and Buddhist culture. So if you remember, we had discussed about our Indian culture also, that how Buddhism has been discussed with a special reference to Indian culture. So in the beginning, we had discussed with the origins of the Buddhism. Then we had discussed about the 6 contemporary teachers of the Buddha, like Purana Kassapa, Makhli Gosal, Sanjay Belatthiput, Pagud Kachayan, and Niganthanath Put. So there were 6 contemporary teachers we had also discussed. And then we had discussed about the what was the personality of the Buddha. So he became very much popular, and how Buddhism was spread to all over the world. So the personality was one of the main factor of a spreading of the teachings of the Buddha to all of the globe. So we had discussed, if you remember our last classes, then we had discussed about there are 6 attributes of the Dhamma, and then we had discussed the role of the theories and the disciples, the main Agasavakas at the time of the Buddha, how they were main responsible for spreading the teachings of the Buddha. So there were 4 5 topics which we had discussed in the beginning of our classes. So here the Buddhist culture, especially our Indian culture, that how Buddhism has become one of the part of our Indian culture since the origin of the Buddhism from the time of the Buddha. So till now, there is a culture. So this is the one point heading. And then Tilakhana. Second is the Tilakhana. So we had discussed three lakshanas, three kinds of existence, if you remember. All things are subject to impermanence, sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and sabbe dhamma anatta. All things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. So this was the, you can say, the lakhana in our second point. So if you remember, then we had discussed that how uh, individually 3 days we had discussed that sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and sabbe dhamma anatta. So any one of the questions can be asked about that. And then third heading, it has been said panchakhanda. So I had given, and regarding the Tilakhana, we had also given you reading materials also. Three kinds of existence, or three lakshanas, you can say, three kinds of characteristics: sabbe sankhara anicca, sabbe sankhara dukkha, and sabbe dhamma anatta. Then there is the next heading is panchakhanda, five aggregates. So if you remember, we had discussed about the Nam and Rupa, mind and matter. A man is a composition of mind and matter. A man is a composition of Panchakhandhas, five aggregates, namely Rup Khand, Vedana Khand, Sanya Khand, Sankhar Khand, and Beyond Khand. So we had discussed about the mind and matter. What is mind, Nam, and what is Rup or matter? So on the basis of Pali literature, we had discussed that Nam is the call as Namatiti Namam, that which leans towards the object, that our consciousness leans towards our five respective objects of the five senses, namely Rup, Sad, Gandh, Ras, Photabba. So these are called as Namati. And then it has been also defined in Dhammasangani, first book of Abhidhamma Pitaka, as that there is a question that Tat Katmam Namam, what is the mind or what is the Nam? Then it has been said, Vedana Khando, Sanya Khando, Sankhar Khando, Beyond Khando, Asankata Cha Dhatu Idam Buchati Namam. So Nam or mind is the conglomeration of the Panchakhandas, namely that is the not the five khandas, only four khandas: Vedana khand, Sanya khand, Sankhar khand, and Beyond khand. These four are called as Nam or mind. And in another way of classification, this Vedana, Sanya, and Sankhar, they are called as 52 types of psychic factors. Out of 52 types of Chetasikas or psychic factors or mental factors, Vedana is one, Sanya is one, and Sankharas are five in number. So altogether they are called as a that is the Chit and Chetasika. Nam is another name of Chit and Chetasik, that is the consciousness and the psychic factors. So Chit and Chetasik make Nam or mind. And Roop, we had also discussed that Roop is the material quality. And it has been discussed as a in the text, Pali text, Rupatiti Rupam, that which changes itself at every moment, that is called as a matter or material quality. And in Dhammasangani, in the second chapter, Rupa has been defined as Chattaro cha Mahabhuta Chatunnam cha Mahabhutanam Upadai Idam Buchati Sabbam Rupam. So, Rup is the four Mahabhut, namely Pathvi, Apo, Tejo, Bayo, and there are 23 types of Upada Rup, generated material qualities. Altogether, there are 27 or 28 types of Rup or material qualities, which we have already discussed in our classes. If you go through the mind and matter, we had given you some reading materials also with the Panchakhandhas, the five aggregates. So you can go through the questions, and only Venerable Devanand has given the uh, topics, uh, and he has not given the questions, that how questions will come in the examinations. So on the basis of the topic, you have to be very much prepared for the examinations. So here Panchakhandhas, so you have to write down about the, you can say, man, Panchkhand, that how a man is the, as a personality, constitutes the five aggregates: Rupa Khand, Vedana Khand, Sanya Khand, Sankhar Khand, Bhyan Khand. These five aggregates, how they have been classified in our Pali text as a Nama Rupa or Panchakhandha. And we had also discussed in our uh, on the basis of the Milinda Pahiyo, that what is the Nam and Rupa, and how Panchakhandhas constitute as a personality of a being. And in the Lakhan Pahiyo of Milinda Pahiyo, Sabbe Dhamma Anatta, that all things are subject to soulless. There is no permanent entity in the personality of a being. So this has been discussed in our Belinda Pahiyo also. So you have to discuss that, just like a parts of the chariot make a name of the chariot, in the same way, the five aggregates, namely Rupa Khand, Vedana Khand, Sanya Khand, Sankhar Khand, Bhyan Khand, they make a personality of a man. And that man is called as a Sattva or Satta in Pali, a human being. So a man is composed or consisting of five aggregates. So next topic has been given: meditation and four foundation of mindfulness. We had also discussed about the mindfulness, that is the sati patthana. We had discussed what is the sati and what are the four kinds of mindfulness. In our class, we had discussed that sati is just like a doorkeeper. Doorkeeper does not allow any undesirable person to enter into the house. In the same way, mindfulness or sati, or in Sanskrit smriti, does not allow any undesirable, immoral factor to enter on the surface of mind. And Buddha also says in Satipatthana Sutta that mindfulness or sati is the only path for realization of a state of eternal bliss. And Buddha says that ekainoyam maggo, that mindfulness is the only path, ekaino, only path for ekainoyam maggo sattanam visuddhiya, for the purification of the human beings, the nibbanasa sasikariya, for realization of a state of eternal bliss. And it has been said, Jadidam chattaro satipatthana kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. These four kinds of mindfulness we had discussed in our last previous classes. So if you still need revision of that mindfulness, I will be glad to again take class of mindfulness. So this mindfulness, you have to be prepared. And first of all, if there is a question that what is the meditation and what is called as samadhi. Samadhi is the name of kusal chitasya ekaggata, that it is the name of one pointedness of the moral consciousness. It has been defined in the Visuddhi Mag, that it is the name of destroying of the immoral mental factors related with the physical and vocal. So this is samadhi is the name of only ekagra bhavo, that ekagra bhav, that it is one pointedness of the moral consciousness. It is of two types, Rup Samadhi and Arup Samadhi. Rup Samadhi is of five types, namely Jhanangaj, that is the Patham Jhana, Dutiya Jhana, Tatiya Jhana, Chaturtha Jhana, Pancham Jhana. So for the Jhanangaj, for the appearance of the Jhanangaj, there are five hindrances, namely they are technically called as nivarnas. Nivarnas are those immoral factors which put obstacle in the path of concentration. Nivaranti paryondhanti na chittam samadhitam ti nivaranam. So this has been discussed in our text. And for the removal of these five types of nivarnas, there is the appearance of the five factors of the Janangaj, concentration or meditations. So Rupa Samadhi is of five types. We had discussed also, namely Vitak Vichar Piti Sukha Ekta Sahitam Patham Jhanam, Vichar Piti Sukha Ekta Sahitam Dutiya Jhanam, Piti Sukha Ekta Sahitam Tatiya Jhanam, Sukha Ekta Sahitam Chatutta Jhanam, Upekha Ekagrata Sahitam Pancham Jhanam. So this is called as Rupa Samadhi. And Arup Samadhi, it is also of four kinds, namely Akasanchayatan, Vyananchayatan, Akinchayatan, Nev Sanya, Nasanyayatan. So these are discussed in a very detailed manner in our Pali text and in Visuddhimagga also. So on the basis of that, you have to discuss that how for Rup Samadhi and Rup Samadhi, there is a need of the mindfulness. What is the need of the mindfulness? So Sati plays important role for the calming down of our mind. That it is the name of the Samath. For Samath, there is the need of the Smriti or Sati. So Sati, without mindfulness, one cannot develop the moral dhammas. And even for seal, that is the morality or virtue, Sati plays important roles in curtailment of the physical and vocal misdeeds or immoral actions. So in that way, how mindfulness plays a role, and for this mindfulness plays a very important role in the sense of insight. That when a yogavachar or a person moves in the state of insight or vipassana, so sati, there is a need of that. And even Henopal Gunaratana, one of the greatest scholar of Buddhist studies of Sri Lanka, he says that mindfulness is the heart of the meditation. And this mindfulness is also called as anupassana. That anupassana means visualizing the things again and again. So this is called as anupassana. So this through the anupassana, a yogavachar moves in the direction of seven stages of purifications, which have been discussed in Pali Suttas like Rath Vinit Sutta and other suttas also in Visuddhimagga also. There is a discussion of seven stages of purifications, that how in the 14th chapter, Panya Bhumi Nirdesh, Acharya Buddha Ghosh has discussed about the seven stages of purifications, Sat Visuddhi, and he has given a simile of insight tree, that is the Panya Rukh or Panya Brikh. So the tree which consists of the insight. And there are 7 stages like Sila Visuddhi, Chitta Visuddhi, Ditti Visuddhi, Kankha Vitarana Visuddhi, Mag Amag Dasan Visuddhi, Patipada Yana Dasan Visuddhi, Yana Dasan Visuddhi. So these are the 7 stages of purifications. And in this 7 stages of purifications, a Yogavachar has the role of that is the mindfulness, that is the anupassana, and through these 7 stages of purifications, a Yogavachar completes the stage of vipassana. Vipassana is the name of visualizing, especially that all things are subject to impermanence, all things are subject to suffering, and all dhammas are subject to soulless. So this is the name of the panya, and it is done through the panya. That is the right understanding, which has the characteristics of kusal chit vipassana yan sampayuttam ti panya. So this is the definition given by Acharya Buddha Ghosh. So when you are discussing the meditation and foundation of mindfulness, you have to discuss, and we have also discussed in our previous classes related with all these 4 foundation of mindfulness, namely Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, and Dhammanupassana. So this is the thing you have to prepare for your examination point of view. Then next point, if you go through that, that is the fourfold immergible teaching and social afflictions. We had discussed about the Brahma Vihar in our previous classes. If you remember, Brahma Vihar is the name of the noble way of living. Brahmoti Settho, that is the excellent. Vihar is the name of living. So excellent way of living is called as Brahma Vihar, and it has the 4 pillars, namely friendliness, metta, compassion, karuna, unalloyed joy, or sympathetic joy. This is the mudita, and the last is the indifference, that is the upekha. So these 4 which we have discussed in our previous classes, that what is a Brahma Vihar, we had discussed about the metta, karuna, mudita, and upekha separately in our previous classes, and how these 4 pillars of noble way of living are going to bring peace in the society, how they are going to bring, these 4 pillars are bringing social harmony in the society. We had discussed in our previous classes. So I had given you some of the notes also related with the Buddhist metta, that is the friendliness, universal friendliness, and compassion, mudita, upekha, we had also discussed. So if you are being asked any questions related with fourfold immeasurable, immeasurable means apramaya, apraman in Sanskrit, apamaya it is in Pali, apamaya that cannot be measured. So these metta, karuna, mudita, and upekha, these 4 factors or pillars of Brahma Vihar, noble way of living, they cannot be measured because they are having unlimited area of their practice, and it cannot be limited to a particular place or particular person also. And these the limit of these 4 factors of our Brahma Vihar cannot be measured. That is why it is called as immeasurable. Immeasurable means apraman, that cannot be measured. So this is the 5th one, and 6th is the 10 perfections. if you remember, we had discussed 4 or 5 classes related with the Dana Paramita, Sila Paramita, Chanti Paramita, Briya Paramita, Dhyan Paramita, Pragya Paramita, Satya Paramita, Adityan Paramita, uh, Satya Adityan, Metta, and Upekha. All are 10 types of perfections. Perfections are those human values through which a person crosses from one shore of the existence to the another shore of the existence. Just like a person from the one bank of the river to the another shore of the river, he goes through the boat now, or you can say ship. In the same way, perfections are the human values or human virtues through which a person can cross from one shore of the repeated existence to the another shore of the repeated existence. They are 10 in number. 6 are the main perfections and 4 are added later on. दान पारमिता, शील पारमिता, शांति पारमिता, वीर्य पारमिता, ध्यान पारमिता, and pragya parmita. These are the 6 main perfections, parmita or parmi. And there are 4 types of others perfections, namely such adithan, metta, and upekha. And we had also discussed all these perfections, and I had given you some of the reading materials related with the parmi also. I am not aware that which type of parmi will be asked for these questions, but you have to be prepared main 6 perfections, namely dan parmita, sila parmita, shanti parmita, briya parmita, dhyan parmita, and pragya parmita. So this is the heading, and you have to be prepared for the examinations with all the 10 perfections. So this is the 10 perfections, and then there is a good life and peace and happiness in the society. So if you remember, we had discussed about the social harmony also in our previous classes, and there are other things. If you discuss in our next few classes, I can discuss about this, that besides the 4 Brahma Vihara, namely Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekha, what are the other things which can bring happiness in the society or in the family? On the basis of the Pali text, we can discuss that how social harmony or universal brotherhood can be brought in the family, in the society. So on the basis of the Metta Sutta, Karuna Sutta, or Karniya Metta Sutta of Khuddakapat, as well as in Sutnipat and Dhammapad, sorry, Khuddakapat and Sutnipat. And another, there is a from the Mangal Sutta of the Khuddakapat. There are 38 types of auspicious signs, Mangal Sutta, which have been discussed in a very detailed manner, as well as in some of the suttas of Vyagapaj, namely Vyagapaj of the Anguttara Nikaya, which also discusses that how happiness or good living or welfare can be brought in the family or in the society. So if you need some of the more lectures, we can discuss in coming lectures also in this month. So we can discuss the more things under this topic. So next is the spiritual friendship in Buddhism. Spiritual friendship, that is called as Adhyatmik Maitri, and it is another name of Kalyan Mitra, who can be a Kalyan Mitra, how he can supervise or give the directions to the Yogavachar for attaining a state of eternal bliss. So, who can be a Kalyan Mitra? We had also discussed that Buddha is the best Kalyan Mitra. If Buddha is not available, then the Arhat who have got Arhatship, they are the best friend or they are the best Kalyan Mitra. If any Arhat is not available, then only any one of the Sotapan, Sagdagami, Anagami, Arhat, whether he is in the Magad stage or in the Phala stage, he can be a best Kalyan Mitra. And even if these are not available, Sotapan, Sagdagami, Anagami, and Arhat, then any person who knows the Tipitaka, he can be a very good Kalyan Mitra. Even if a person who does not know Tipitaka, he knows only Nikaya, that is, he is Nikayadhar, he can be a best Kalyan Mitra. So sometimes Buddha also says that if no one is available around your monastery or any surrounding area, then even in the temple before the statue of the Buddha, you can sit down and you can remembering the good qualities of the Buddha, like Itipiso Bhagava Raha Samba Sambuddho Vichacharan Sampanno Suguto Lok Buddhi Prusa Dhamma Sarathi Itipiso Bhagava. There are 9 attributes or 9 qualities of the Buddha through which he is known as a Buddha or Sugata Lok Vidu Prusa Dhamma Sarathi. You can remember the good qualities of the Buddha and even you can start your meditations or concentrations. So this is the spiritual friendship in our and how a Kalyan Mitra is helpful in bringing a state of eternal bliss to a Yogavachar. We have also discussed even if you discuss again, we can take classes in coming classes also. Then crime and punishment. Next headings 9, if you go through the 9 headings, that crime and punishment in Buddhism. This topic was not given in your syllabus. If you go through your syllabus 102, there is no mention of crime and punishment. But we are having Binay Pitaka. If you go through the Binay Pitaka, Mahavagga, Chulvagga, Parajika, Pachetya, and we are quite aware that there are 227 rules for the monks, bhikkhu, and there are 311 rules for the nuns. So there is a introduction of bhikkhu patimokha as well as bhikkhuni patimokha. And Bhikkhu Patimokha has been divided under the 8 sections, and there is only 7 sections for the Bhikkhuni Patimokha. There is no Anyatya Dhamma for the Bhikkhunis. Since this Anyatya Dhamma was suggested by Visakha Migar Mata for the Bhikkhus, and it was introduced by the Buddha. So, as per these rules, 227 rules for the monks and 311 rules, we are having that how on the Chatudasi or Panarasi, or even on the 15th day, on the Purnima day, we are having celebration of the Uposatha. And during the Uposatha, Bhikkhu has to transgress any crime or offense he has committed. And on the basis of crime or offense what he has committed, the punishment is being given to the bhikkhu or nun as per the criteria given in the Parajika and Pachitya. Suppose a person who has committed any rule of the 13 Sanghadishes for the Bhikkhu Patimukha and 17 Sanghadishes, any one of the 17 Sanghadishes of the Bhikkhunis or Bhikkhuni Patimukha, then Sanghadishes, that Sangha has to take permission in the beginning and in the end for the expulsion of that monk or the nun from the Sangha for a time period, as per the offense which has been committed by the monk or nun. So this was not given in our syllabus previously, and there was no any heading of crime and punishment. And but Venerable Devananda has given this topic under this 102. If you wish to discuss, I can discuss in a very detailed manner in our next classes that how 227 rules and 311 rules respectively for the monks and the nuns, they have been discussed in the Parajika, Pachitya, and then you can answer these questions as per the, you can say, criteria. And what type of questions it will be asked, I am not very much aware of that. So in the last year also, I had seen the questions, but there is no any heading of crime and punishment under that. And what type of questions was asked last year or last year, but why this topic has been given this year, I am not aware of that. So be careful, and I can discuss all crime and punishment, how it has been discussed for the monks and nuns in Binay Pitaka, especially in Parajika, Pachitya. So that can be answered in the examination. And then lastly, there is a what is Buddhist economic. So we had discussed Buddhist economic conditions in our last social aspects of Buddhism. Then we had discussed political aspects of Buddhism and economic aspects of the Buddhism also. That how, what are the duties of a king for the welfare and prosper development of the Rashtra or king or of a state. What are the duties of a king? So we had discussed in our last class. If you, I had given you some reading material also on the social aspects of Buddhism and the political aspects of Buddhism and economic aspects of Buddhism also. So you can go through that, and then you can have any doubt. I can discuss with you again the same Buddhist economic aspects again. So these are the 10 headings which have been suggested by Venerable Devanand ji. So I have given you a brief sketch of all these 10 headings which we have discussed in our previous classes. So now if you have any question, you can ask me. So if you have any question, then we can discuss. So now you have noted down all these the 10 headings, Rahul?
Yes, sir.
So everyone has noted down these 10 headings. These are not 10 questions. These are the 10 headings under which the questions will be put in the examinations. And for questions, I am not aware of that. And even in the syllabus which was provided to you also and to me also, there was no heading anywhere related with the crime and punishment in Buddhism. But here there is a heading. So, but you have to prepare for that examination, and I will discuss with you. And if you have any questions, we can discuss some of the things just now. So these are the 10 headings which we have discussed. Now tell your problem, that how you are facing some problems related with the questions or headings, and what you need from my side, because I have to discuss these two topics which have been not given in your syllabus. That is the crime and punishment, number one. Number two, that happiness and way of life. So these two headings I can discuss in next Wednesday or in the coming classes also. Besides that, if you need any revision of previous classes, I am ready for that. So I have given you materials also, reading materials also, Life of the Buddha also, then Four Noble Truth, main basic teachings of the law of dependent originations, three kinds of characteristics, Anicca, Dukkha and Anatma, Karma and Rebirth, Nam and Roop. We had given you a lot of materials related with the syllabus, but these two headings have been given. So what do you need? You can discuss with me. You can go through the headings, what we have discussed, and if you feel any difficulty, we can discuss in our coming classes also.
Okay, Professor.
Rahul?
I don't have any question. Main thing, we have to memorize the topics and answer.
Yes, because only the headings have been given to me, not the questions.
Okay.
So I cannot say what type of questions will be asked. So these headings, out of these 10, I have not discussed with you the two topics, crime and punishment, which was not in our syllabus. And another, you can say, happiness. What are the things, what are the factors of happiness which can bring a way of life in the society? So we'll discuss in our next classes.
Okay, thank you.
So, Momoru, do you have any question?
I'm okay. I just to read the material once again according to these topics.
Yes, sir. And these two topics, what I have discussed with you, the last, crime and punishment, I have not discussed earlier.
Yeah.
And the happiness, the second topic, which I have also not discussed. So I will discuss these two in our coming classes.
Okay.
So otherwise, we have discussed all the headings, main headings in our previous classes.
Okay.
Rahul.
Okay, Professor. If you have material regarding these new topics, please email to us. We will study that material also.
Okay. I will try to it. I will give it to you. Okay. I will prepare for those reading materials, and if I download it or if I get it, I will share it tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vinay Pitak, regarding the 227 rules for the monks and nuns, 227 rules for the monks and 311 rules for the nuns, and how the punishments are being given. So I will give you 2-3 notes, so you can go through that. So what about Hiroko? Do you have any question?
Yes, about Brahma Vihara, mudita. How should I translate in English?
English, there are two terms: sympathetic joy. Sympathetic joy.
Joy.
And another is unalloyed joy. Un-alloyed, ALLOYED, unalloyed joy. That a joy which does not have any stain.
Allowing
That is the meaning, mudita.
Mudita.
And mudita is called as sympathetic joy. Sympathy means that is the a smile, or you can say happiness, which is associated with compassion or empathy or karuna. So that is called as unalloyed joy. So sometimes Buddha also, out of innocent joy, he spoke some of the things and which have been compiled in the text Udan. So in Udan there are pithy sayings of the Buddha. Out of the joy, Buddha used to speak some of the things. So one verse I remember, which has been told by the Buddha at the time of getting enlightenment, that anek jati sansaram sandha vis anavisam gahkarak gavisanto dukha jati punapunam gahkarak dithosi punam geham na kahasi sabba te phasuka bhagga gahkarak dithosi punam geham na kahasi sankhar visankhar gatam tanha khay majhagati. So when he got the enlightenment at the Bodhi tree at Bodh Gaya, out of the sympathetic joy, he says that, "Oh house builder, oh, you have been now seen. Now you cannot make another house of the suffering for me. Gahkarak dithosi. Anek jati sansaram, since a long succession of the lives, I am suffering with so many lives. But now you have been seen, and all the raptures of my desire have been removed away. I have removed the raga dosa moha, and now you cannot build a house again." So this is the Udan, or you can say pithy sayings, and this is called as sympathetic joy, unalloyed joy, without having any stain. This is called as a mudita. Out of the joy, if it speaks something, this is called as innocent laughter. And mudita is one of the, you can say, without having any you can say stain. If a person, suppose an example has been given, that suppose in your family some earns more wealth, and out of the immense joy, if you become very happy that my family member has got some achievement, so that is called as mudita, without having a stain. But if someone, after seeing the welfare or happiness of others or neighbors, if a person has suffering, then that type of thing is not called as a mudita. So that is a mudita. It must not have any stain, unalloyed joy. So
Thank you very
anything more?
much.
Yeah. And Kiko has, do you have any question?
Sorry. So I have absent for a while, so I read back again a paper. So
You have noted down 10 headings. You have noted down the 10 headings.
now I don't have.
Okay, Rahul, you can just share the things to him also.
Okay,
I do not have direct email ID.
okay, I will share.
You can send you can say your group email ID, so can everyone can go through it. And in the next class, we'll share some of the things. Okay.
先生、先生が見せた紙の質問が書いていますかという質問でした。これを書いていますか？
はい。
はい、わかりました。それだけ。
Yes, I have.
But senses.
Professor, he wrote all
Okay.
the...
I understood. He has. Okay, no problem. All right. So if you have any more question, we'll discuss and I will send you some of the reading materials to you and prepare for that. I do not have any question. Only the headings of the title of the, you can say, your subject has been given to me, but you have to prepare for all the questions. Okay, so we
Okay.
will discuss in the next class. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank
Good
you very
night.